Thank you, Nan, and thank you, Huddle Choir, whosoever will. That sounded good. And thank you to those who participated online. We urge you to learn the National Black Anthem, which is Lift Every Voice and Sing. All right, so in 10 days, National Action Network's annual convention goes down in the heart of New York City again from April 2nd to the 5th. NAN's conference takes place at the Sheraton New York Times Square Hotel. A slew of elected officials, celebrities, civil rights leaders, activists, clergy, educators, and people from all walks of life from around the nation and overseas will join Reverend Sharpton and the National Action Network family for our vital annual convention. Who knows this year's theme? Yell it out if you know it. Being the light in dark times. Let's clap the Ernest Waters up, being the light in dark times. And we must enjoy and we must ensure to shine our light in the darkness because it is necessary, especially in these times. The one and only Patti LaBelle will be joining us at the convention, along with Congressman Al Green, Tatiana Ali, Don Lemon, Stacey Abrams, Attorney Ben Crump, and many, 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 many more, who will address NAN's 2025 convention. Our own Christian Matthew is leading 2 different panels, so let's clap him up. We're excited for Youth and College Day. Dan has been helping with the Artivism Fashion Show. Damien will be a part as well. Patrice, of course, will be a part as well. Dominique is helping to convene the entire convention and, of course, to chair the Women's Luncheon. She's on her way. But all of our Reverend Ron McHenry, we will still be doing our DEI Thursday action, so make sure you guys are ready and prepared to go outside and to be active outside, not just inside the building. The full schedule is up on the website, so check it out for yourselves. Make sure you have your, you're ready to sit there with your chair and be kind and be nice and smile at people. No grimacing at others, and no barking at others. We are nice, we are kind, and we are there to unify and come together in strategy. Reverend Sharpton's announcement on the DEI, well, we've been doing the boycott, but the boycott will be on Saturday, April 5th. So I encourage everyone to be present at Measuring the Movement because a special announcement that we've all been waiting to hear, the layout of our action will be laid out on that day. So we expect you to be there at 9 o'clock on Saturday. The whole convention, we want you to be there, but I personally urge you to be there for that announcement because I'm excited to hear the plan, right? Amen? Those who've already been a part of it, who've been boycotting Target, who've been buying into Costco, who's been taking action, period, we salute you. We've been out there for DEI Thursdays. This past week was the, which week, 63rd? 64th, excuse me, I stand corrected. 64th. Let's clap that up for those who've been out there. 64 weeks. And salute to our DEI leader, Brother Ron McHenry, Reverend Ron McHenry, and our coordinator here at the House of Justice. I want to give a special prayer to George Foreman's family. We lost George Foreman, who was a great... 64, I got you. We said 64. Salute to his family and those who love George Foreman. He was great in what he did. If you liked him or loved him, or if you root for him or not, he still was an example of Black excellence. So we salute him. We congratulate our sister L. Joy Williams. We laid to rest sister, our queen mother, Hazel Dukes, 2 weeks ago, and we just want to congratulate L. Joy Williams, who has now been put in as the New York State NAACP chair, which was formerly Hazel Duke's seat. So now she has her new seat. So let's clap up L. Joy Williams. She's in her 40s. She's a young woman, and she's about that life. She's a friend to Nan. We love you, L. Joy. Congratulations, and we look forward to working with you. All right.
We on?
We're on.
I don't see any.
We're on.
Talk.
Welcome to the Gilchrist experience. I don't see any video. I don't see my.
We're on.
Talk.
Okay, so I'm talking to. All right. Welcome to the Gilchrist experience. That was Ashley Sharpton at the Youth Huddle every Monday at 6 o'clock, 106 West 145th Street. It's the Youth Huddle. The premium people that we need to reach. Mm-hmm. Ashley is one of the products of her environment, good spirit and informational wise and every. It's really amazing how she's come along all these years. I've been around her 27 years, watched her grow up, and there's the evidence of the beautiful person that she is. Welcome, Graham.
Well, the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree.
Amen.
And it's good to pass a legacy.
Mm-hmm.
Batons have to be passed. Oftentimes, people want to hold on to a particular position.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to relinquish it. They want to go all the way to the grave with the position, but
Mm-hmm.
we have to pass batons,
Mm-hmm.
just as we raise our children.
Yeah.
And we raise them to be successful and to be self-sufficient to a degree, because nobody is totally self-sufficient. But Reverend Sharpton has done a fantastic job with both of his daughters, and with their involvement in carrying on the legacy of the National Action Network. So we know that Rev started as a young boy
4.
under Jesse Jackson. Then you see Rev,
As pastor.
and now you see Rev's daughters. So that's 3 generations right there. And there's another generation that'll be coming behind them.
Mm-hmm. Well, you see that we all come under the same environment. You're raised in Brooklyn. You know the energies of the spiritual people. Deacon Reverend Jones was pastor. Reverend Sharpton's pastor. All right, so what I want to do is go back to the convention coming up next Wednesday, April 2nd. And I'd like you to run item 4A. This is Dominique Sharpton at the huddle. We're waiting for Ron McDaniels to come on a Zoom, but meanwhile we'll run the youth huddle. All right? So we'll be right back at you.
Don't keep looking to the left, because you're...
Dominique just interviewed. We already talked about you and what you're doing with convention. Can you just come up and share some updates for convention really quick to encourage the people about the schedule? Quickly, sister. Thank you. We know you're tired. Let's clap her up. Let's clap her up and share some convention highlights. 10 days away. 10 days away. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. So we are 10 days away from the convention. We'll start early Wednesday, April the 2nd. We open with, of course, our ribbon cutting, where we'll have most of the local elected officials, many of whom you see here on King Day. They'll be joining us for the opening ceremony. And then we go right into a fireside chat with Governor Wes Moore of Maryland and Reverend Sharpton. We'll also be talking about transplants and healthcare on opening day with Albie Shore, Reverend Sharpton, and Freeway, the rapper. And they're going to be talking about the importance of healthcare and, of course, transplants and how important, of course, access to quality healthcare is important to us. And then we'll also have our labor panel with most of our labor union leaders who will be present with us, from AFSCME to the United Federation of Teachers. They'll all be with us for our labor panel. And then we go into our victims panel, From Grief to Action, which we've moderated by Attorney Benjamin Crump. And we'll have our very own Mother Gwen Carr, Sabrina Fulton, mother of Trayvon Martin. We have Sister Pamela Diaz, mother of A.J. Owens. We have, of course, the Floyds, the brothers of George Floyd, Phalonis and Terrence will be joining us on that panel. Yusuf Salam of the former Central Park 5, who's now a council member, will be joining us for that panel. And then we have another fireside chat with Ari Melber and Reverend Sharpton. Ari Melber is going to do some rapping for us, because he's really big here on hip-hop. So we got a special section on the importance of the intersectionality between entertainment and politics and DEI, of course, as we know, DEI is a running theme through the week. And then we have our fireside chat with Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg and Reverend Al. And then we have our criminal justice panel that's usually moderated by the late, great attorney Michael Hardy. Benjamin Crump is going to take that panel on. Then we break for the Keepers of the Dream Awards. And then we come back Wednesday night with the Keepers of the Dream Awards. We have Patti LaBelle, who's going to be honored that night, along with George Gresham, a very long-standing labor leader in our community. He's going to be receiving our very first Rustin, Bayard Rustin and A. Philip Randolph Award. So in the spirit of their leadership, we are crowning and honoring George Gresham. We're also honoring Chris Matthews, who was, of course, one of the MSNBC greats. Chris Matthews will be joining us that evening. And then, of course, we're giving our leadership awards. Internally, our staff award, the Michael Hardy Award, is going this year to Reverend Stephen Marshall. Many of y'all know Reverend Marshall. And our Wyatt T. Walker Award is going to Reverend Dr. Tacoy Porter out of Sacramento, California. Sacramento's chapter of National Action Network is doing amazing things, and we're going to highlight, of course, what our West Coast is doing. A lot of y'all here on the East Coast know what New York is doing, but we got chapters everywhere in the United States, and so our Sacramento chapter president will be honored for his work, and that's the Keepers of the Dream Awards. Then we go into Thursday. I mean, I know the schedule by heart, but we got so much going on, y'all. We're talking about Black maternal health on Thursday, mental health matters. We're talking about that on Thursday. We're talking about, of course, the DEI landscape. We're doing our media panel on Thursday. We have a New York City mayoral debate because we got a mayoral race that's happening next year. And so all of the candidates running for mayor will do a debate with Reverend Sharpton live at the Sheridan on Thursday. A forum, excuse me. We got the weekend crew from MSNBC, Simone Sanders, Michael Still, Alicia Menendez. They're going to be doing a fireside chat with Rev on Thursday. We got our women's luncheon on Thursday. So our women's luncheon, we got actress Tatiana Ali that's going to be honored. We've got the president of the National Education Association, Becky Pringle, who's going to be honored. We have the proprietor of Melba's Restaurant. We are really big on uplifting Black-owned businesses, especially in this campaign, of course, to NDEI across the country. We're uplifting our Black-owned businesses, so we'll be giving that award to Melba Wilson this year. And we also will be honoring a few other people, but listen. Oh, yes. My people. So the international president of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority, Dr. Stacey Grant, will be honored at the Women's Luncheon as well. And then we have remarks by, of course, the Honorable Letitia James. She's going to be joining us. Our Attorney General from New York will be addressing the Women's Luncheon. It's a lot going on. We got the Children of the Movement panel happening Thursday with Ashley. We will have our DEI protest. We're still going to be marching at 12 o'clock on Thursday to our DEI location in front of Bill Ackman's office. That's also happening on Thursday. And then we're going to break, right, and come back for our Civil Rights Talk Back and Film. We're going to be talking about, many of you saw here on Saturday, Diane Hawkins, the mother of Yusef Hawkins, that happened in 1989, over 30 years ago. And on this Thursday, one of the people who were convicted of that crime, Rev, marched for weeks. Many people at National Action Network marched for weeks to make sure this arrest happened. This man is still in jail and trying to get out on parole. And that's happening on Thursday. Joey Fama will be going in front of a board to try to grant him parole. And so we're going to be talking about this case over 30 years later, how we're still fighting for justice. And we're going to have a panel discussion after watching Storm Over Brooklyn. Many of you may have seen it on HBO. We'll be showing it live at our convention this year and talking about it, as Rev was very, very instrumental in that case and bringing it to the light, to the forefront.
The beauty of that's the spirit. You see the spirit of National Action Network. We're the leading organization today that shows everybody hope and are willing to fight. With all the depressing scenes that we see carrying on today from Donald Trump. But he wrote all this stuff down, Project 2025. It's something that we should have been studying all along. Graham and I recognized that years ago. But you have to realize the kind of individual we're dealing with, Donald Trump. Donald Trump has always been a scoundrel, a racist. I happen to have 5 years on him, age-wise, and so I remember his first scam, Hyatt Hotel on 42nd Street. Well, he was a New York slickster, and you know, he's one of the cons. This city breeds slicksters. So the only people that.
But you're not a slickster.
But I learned the game. I learned the game. That's the only way to survive in the center of the universe. To me, New York City is the center of the universe. Every human is represented here in New York. So you have to understand the environment we're in. And to survive it, being black, you have to be a survivor of the fittest. You have to be sharp and be able to take all kind of blows. And this is what Trump is doing to us. He's a slick New Yorker. And he's got a game going that's bamboozled the planet. But he's on the opposite side of what democracy represents. He's the individual that shows us the demonic force. Everything he's doing, and what hits us today, as we sit here now, we're all waiting to see if we get our Social Security check. Can you imagine somebody demented enough or demonic enough to take Social Security away from people, to fire people in the organization? You got to understand what this man is doing. He's trying to destroy America. For what? Because he's mad at us? Because we accuse him of stealing and robbing and teaming up with Putin?
I think it's more about what he can game and gain.
Oh, there's Ron.
Can
you come on?
The idea that...
How do I get on to the Zoom?
Answer the invite.
It's National Action. It's National Action Network email.
National Action Network email.
He hung up.
Oh, he hung up. See, that's how we do on the Gilchrist experience.
Yeah.
When people are, you know, we're all busy. Ron's busy because he's got the convention coming up. And so what we'll do is run number one and see if we get Ron on between now and then. Item one is Ron McHenry at the rally, which is, he's gone 64 weeks. That's a year and...
I have to stay on Zoom, Winston, so can you please continue the show?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, we were talking about
we were
Donnie,
talking
about Donnie, and you know, what he's doing is all about making money.
Oh yeah.
It's not about governance. Today, matter of fact, today they were saying that he didn't even know what Signal was. Because the only thing he knows how to do is tweet, but he doesn't really know anything about computer technology. So he didn't know what Signal was. With regard to the national defense using Signal. That was
the
astounding.
last episode with the Defense Department?
Yeah, just today.
Today?
Just today they were talking about it.
All
So he claims to know nothing about anything negative. He only knows about the positive things that he believes in. But he is strictly about making money.
Right.
And anything that's going to prevent him from capitalizing on enhancing his financial status or his personal gain, he's going to try and destroy it. And we're seeing it day by day because we have
Every
a
day.
dysfunctional government. The Congress is not operating. Today, I saw a small part, because I don't have enough time to spend watching the stupidity, but a congressman was talking about the Democrats. They're not doing governance. This is not about the Democrats, the Republicans. This is about the United States government. and the people that they're supposed to be working and serving.
Well,
So
Trump is trying to destroy the government.
well, that's done. Doge, everything that they're doing, they took hard drives out of computers from Social Security. How is it that that material could be removed and the people from Doge are not government officials? So we're seeing how the people in the parties, they're playing politics, but they refuse to do governance. Even with regard to the chat on Signal with the military strategy and the planning, nothing like that should be on a public app.
Right.
I have Signal. Maybe I could have been in there listening to it, you know.
It's done on purpose.
Right. And they're acting as though it was nothing classified. Well, I don't believe that.
Every move they make is to dismantle the American government. Everything they're doing. And they're attacking their own supporters. This is what's so lunacy. I mean, when are these people that have voted for him going to wise up and understand what he's all about? He's all about himself and the billionaires that he brought into the system.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he brought Musk is a joke. He doesn't have a clue of what he's doing. He's doing everything that Trump tells him and Putin tells him. They have an agenda which is threatening to the planet.
It's about money.
That's what I mean.
It's all about the greed. They're feeding that particular
But the people
aspect.
supporting him are the same type people.
Well,
This is what's.
look
Where
at
are the people who believe in the American dream?
Look at the people who are now going to these community events and the representatives are not there, refuse to show up. And these are people that voted for Trump.
Americans.
These are Republicans who voted for
Americans
Trump.
who believe in the system.
So they now are going to be impacted. And let's remember, the majority of people on welfare and public assistance in this country are not black people.
Right.
They are white people.
Yeah.
The majority of people on food stamps are not black people or Latinos. They are white people.
Right.
They are the vast majority of the population of this country.
Of course.
We cannot be the majority of people on welfare, the majority of people on food stamps, the majority of people in prison, the majority of people with every less than equal aspect. No, it is white people. And they're going to catch it. All the trailer park people, they're going to catch it. And when they catch it and they wake up and see, and they've already awakened because you've seen the demonstrations even in Iowa. That's a staunch red state. They're tired of it.
Arizona and all the rest
Ultimately, somebody's going to snap and they're going to do something. And they're not going to wait for the state legislators or the congressmen or senators to come back to the table and do governance as opposed to politics.
But we have to understand that we all have to go by the rules, and that's what's happening with the Democrats. They're too busy playing everything by the rules. And Trump dismisses all the regular way of doing things.
True. True.
He
But
says,
remember, who was the guy?
But look at what happened. 2016, Putin got him in there.
Helped him get in there, yeah.
Helped him. He was a main player. He hacked Hillary's. Look at what Hillary was accused of.
Right.
Using the wrong
Email server.
email server. And she lost a presidential election because of her use of an email server. Look what this man has gotten away with. Look at his delusional mind and where psychologically he believes he's God. He got away with the grazing of an ear. Can you imagine his psychological profile as we see him? He's delusional. He's going after Denmark and Greenland, where there's oil and gas. And the friendliest people on the planet are the Danish.
And as a
They've
matter
got
of fact,
socialism to the max. Let's get back to Social Security. Let's get back to Social Security. I mentioned Denmark. That's the most socialistic country and the friendliest people on the planet.
right. And with less stress, they are They did a
because
survey. They have
don't
no
have that
stress.
greed element.
Right.
Because if they make too much money, they take it out in taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And you go to free education, free everything. So what do you have to be mad about? I mean, I spent some time there, and the people are so laid back and just human.
Yeah.
Human. They judge you by the content of your character, not by the color of your skin.
Mm-hmm.
I went to one town where they hadn't seen any black people. This is in the 60s. And it was amazing. It was fun.
They came up and right.
Rub your skin and see. I mean, it happened to me in the Philippines, too. But when you're a rare commodity.
When I was in Italy, a lady, we were going to sing at a senior citizen facility. And we're going up the stairs, and I thought one of the sisters from the choir had my hair. It was an old Italian lady.
Mm-hmm.
She had because I had to stop, and I heard, Magnifico, Mama, and she's going on, and she had my hair literally draped around her face, Winston. Magnifico, oh, and she went on, and I just stood there as she had my hair wrapped. If white people in America saw that, they would think she was crazy. But here was this old Italian woman who's about 100 years old, just going on about my hair. I had young boys in Verona, when I was in Verona, stopping me, and we're interacting between Spanish and Italian, and the fella says, oh, I wish I had hair like yours. These are Italian boys. I wish I could grow hair like that. And we had a little conversation. So people outside of this environment, outside of this jacked up westernized society, they know how to get along together with people from other races, nationalities.
You have to be taught.
You find it.
You have to be taught how to hate. And you got to be careful, people, of what Trump is doing. He's bringing out the hate in you. Now, I don't get my Social Security check, and I'm mad. Now, I'm ready to hurt somebody. And who do you take it out on? The closest person next to you, the next person that steps on your shoe or something. I mean, this is what he's doing to America. You gotta. I had to watch myself because I was getting so angry. I was ready to, really hit somebody, But I had to cool myself down. I have National Action Network to keep my sanity. I know the way Nan deals with things is the most sensible way to go. And we hope we have a God-centeredness that, Martin Luther King disciples, I went over this last week. But this is the true feeling of man, following a spiritual element, God. And that's the answer to all this. And I had to cool myself out and get to my God center to fight the battle of Trump, because he's doing nothing but setting us off and trying to destroy your energies and your faith in God. So this is just a test from God to bring out the better part of you. Now, how do we get through all this? We stay sane and let the really mad people, his people, turn on him. I think it's going to happen, because all this greed and selfishness, I mean, he's going after. But most people will say, well, that's the good guys come in last. Greed and selfishness rule the planet. There's never been any other way. We all know that. But those of us that survive all this, if you take on that element, you destroy yourself. You destroy your purpose on the planet. Well, once you discover what you're here for, then you can move on. And we're all stuck. I mean, you have to know the righteous part of humans. I've been dealing with this often, enough to understand it. I've lived long enough to understand my mistakes. And I watch what other people, I mean, we've grown from what the problems Malcolm and Martin went through. We've benefited from the better parts of all that.
Right.
You know, you and I being of age that we can really Monday morning quarterback on the whole scene. You know, and when we were going through it, we didn't know what was going to be the best route. Oh, we didn't know, but it was hard being straight and honest.
Right. It's
and you especially being a cop.
You know, and I had no intention of becoming a police officer. You talked about purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You said that a couple of seconds ago.
Yeah.
And I thought my purpose was ministry, and I was in ministry in Spanish Harlem. So when I took a walk-in police exam, I just took the test. You know, take a civil service test. I took the test.
Oh, you just...
And they called me the next month. I got a phone call. In February of 1973, I took a test. They called me in March. It's like, you finished grading the papers already? I was shocked. But NYPD called me, and I didn't even take a test for NYPD. I took a test for the transit police. But they told me, well, you're on the top of that list, and we're taking the top of the transit police list. I said, well, you're not on the top of my list because I don't want to work with you. I said goodbye. I hung up the phone. They called me 2 or 3 times. And I was working with youth, and that's what I wanted to do. But the whole operation moved from Spanish Harlem to California the next year. And I said, wow, I passed that up. But I got a phone call. A week, not even a week after the operation moved, I got a phone call from the transit police again. And the sergeant, it was a black sergeant. I said, I'll take the job. Where do I have to be? What time? What location? He said, well, you turn this. I said, I need a job. So I took the job.
And the money was good.
Oh, the starting salary was $12,000 a year. That was the starting
70
salary.
what?
1974.
74.
1974, February, 51 years ago.
Yeah, I was making 15.
And I said, I'll take this job. And then when I finish school, I'm going to go teach. I never left. All right. And I mean, my salary that year went from $12,000 to $25,000 in 6 months. And I was like, whoa. It doubled. In 6 months, it doubled.
Overtime.
And no, that was the base pay. That was the base pay, $25,000 in July of 1975.
Wow.
So
now you people have to understand how much money that was back then.
That was big money.
I mean, the subway was 15 cents?
I don't even remember because I didn't have to pay the fare. I forgot. I haven't paid the fare in over 50 years.
Yeah.
You know, and then by the time, I think 79 or 80, we were clocking over 60 grand.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and that's before I got promoted. So, but I found my purpose, and I realized that's where God wanted me to be. See, where you find your gifts, and where your gifts are a benefit to other people, that's your purpose.
Because you were a good cop.
I tried to be as much,
cop.
and I didn't like cops, you know. So, and
guys, you were the first cop I liked.
Guys knew that I wasn't there for the game. I wasn't there to be part of the club, and I had some interactions, let's say, with some of these guys, and they understood. But the thing was that even I had a chief. A reporter called about some statements I made, and the chief told the reporter, Weatherspoon and I don't get along, but if he tells you it's raining, it's raining. So he respected me in that. I handled the work. I did it the way it was supposed to be. And another thing, whatever we do, we should seek to thrive in the top tier of whatever we do.
That's it. We
can't walk around with this idea of mediocrity. When I'm in a school and I ask students, you know, what's the passing grade? And they tell me, 65. And I just look at them. Okay. So let's say you have to have brain surgery tomorrow, and I know 65% of what I need to know in opening your skull and going in to play with your brain and then put it back together. You got a problem? No. Well, why not? Oh, you only know 65%. I said, well, if 65 is good enough for you, it ought to be good enough for me, especially if I'm your doctor. We can't thrive on 65. If a teacher is telling you about 65, the teacher doesn't care about you. You have to strive for 90% in everything that we do.
See, that's what most black people don't understand back in the day. You always strive to be the best at whatever you took on.
Right.
I mean, there was no second guessing think of yourself as low life, the N-word, you strive to be the best. I know that was my upbringing, and I got 9 years on Graham. But back in those days, you had to be disciplined. That's the only way I got through life, was being disciplined. And discipline is essential to existing as a human being.
And there was no DEI. It was.
While you were in a transit cop, I had an affirmative action job on Fifth Avenue. And I was making 15 grand a year in '74. And I had a company car and an expense account.
Oh, you had a company car?
Yeah, company car.
Ooh.
I was in a luxury suite. I had a secretary outside my door. I was an account executive in an affirmative action job, selling polyester, nylon, and rayon. That was my corporate job, man. I spent 8 years there. And it was, man, I lived a life, man. I lived a life, boy.
But you were qualified for the work you were doing.
Because I was the best one. I was a salesman. They asked me to sell stuff, and I could sell anything. And I dealt with the Jewish community, which most of the crackers came up from the South. It was a Southern-based company, and I was only black, but I was only black salesman and a New Yorker. So I could deal with other New Yorkers, and these guys were scared of people. They were scared of Jewish people. They thought Jewish people was something wrong with them, or they didn't like Jews for some reason. For a reason, you know, the difference. But
we can take a video if you need. We can take a video if you need.
All right, it's run number 1, and this is Ron McHenry at his rally, DEI. Do we have Ron on Zoom?
We're waiting for Ron on Zoom, but can we take another one outside of that? Can we?
Well, run number 3.
So, Reverend Sharpton on Trump. So we're going to get into what's going on. It's been a crazy, crazy, crazy week with the Trump administration. But they are doing, and that's what I keep having discussions, we should not be surprised because they're doing what they said. And I was talking to Marshall, and I think everyone is so angry and confused because we're not used to people doing what they said. They laid out a plan, and they were serious. They're not like the usual politicians. They did what they told us they were going to do, and we're surprised because they're actually doing it. So what we should be doing is looking over Project 2025 and making sure we know how to counter what's coming, because everything that's happening is on that list. It was laid out. It's right there, plain and simple for us to read. But that's probably why they're trying to dismantle the Department of Education and make sure we cannot read and cannot understand, because so they can get away with what they're doing. Reverend Sharpton made several appearances on MSNBC this week to share his insights on the Trump administration and the current state of the nation. He discussed how the civil and human rights of people should not be discarded, no matter what they are accused of, as the Trump administration ramped up its deportations. He emphasized the fact that the more we allow Trump to go above the law, the more dangerous it is for us all. Also, Reverend Sharpton highlighted the fact that Trump is trying to break norms and boundaries as president and establish himself as some sort of king. But at the same time, he can't get over Biden beating him in 2020 and can't get over Kamala Harris. He's too small to be as big as he wants to be. Don't know which Trump you're getting, the one that has a big picture of himself as being bigger than the government, or petty Trump playing out his own insecurities. Reverend Sharpton also talked about the harm from current government overreach, the erasure of Jackie Robinson's story, Trump challenging the balance of power, and more. So be sure to make sure you tune in to Reverend Sharpton, what he says on MSNBC, not just here at the Saturday Action Rally. Also, I encourage you, those who are here early at 6 o'clock, we play Keeping It Real. JT, Salute to Supreme, has basically brought a visual aspect to Keeping It Real, and I call it Sharpton TV because it basically includes all he's done, and it's a great highlight reel for you to understand all the issues that he's talking about every day. A lot of people talk a lot of mess about Rev, but he addresses it on the air, and you should tune in from 1 to 4 every day. And if you don't tune in, you can just go on there's YouTube and watch it for yourself and listen for yourself. And you can ask questions and engage with him. I thought it was great last week. Somebody called in, they thought they was being smart. I'll move. But they they wrote in the comments, you know, I look social media. About he said, put that on the screen. And then address the entire situation. And the caller, it was nasty. The caller under was like, well, I respect you for even answering. Thank you so much. So I think that's important to understand exactly who your leader is. If you believe in him as your leader and what National Network does, you should go and listen to everything that they talk about, because it's very, very important. And a lot of mess comes up, and you will know how to answer it. Instead of just getting lost in the argument and getting angry and emotional, you can answer it intelligently. All right? All right? I am out of your way. I am done.
And that's Sharp Talk at nationalactionnetwork.net every day, 1 to 4. Tune in, and you'll get a good understanding of what's going on. And Rev answers all questions, and you'll get a real response to what your daily problems are. You can call up, and you have to get involved, and you'll be surprised. Watch it, nationalactionnetwork.net, every day, Sharp Talk. Reverend Sharpton.
Yeah, I was thinking about, we talked off camera, about Joy Reid. And we have to see the changes one by one. Project 2025.
Right.
Trump threatened NBC.
Right.
He's threatening other networks. He's got, I think, 7 or 8 people who drafted, and the lead guy that drafted Voight, Project 2025. He's got these people in his cabinet.
Yeah.
These are the masterminds, and you've got to read it in order to understand what the game plan is.
Yeah.
But these are the people running your government, taking it apart, brick by brick. The Department of Education, if they can do away with that nationally and turn education over to the states, you're going to find that because there will be no federal funding, states can do what they want to do. See, states can implement segregated schools again.
Well, that's what the Civil War was about, states' rights.
So they want to get back to that. And you need to understand what is called the double speak, because white people have 2 different languages they use. In the double speak, so they want states' rights, which means they can do what they want to do with the people in that state and treat them any way they want to. There were people in the South who never saw a lot of the black programming that we saw up here in the North.
Right.
They never saw it because they controlled it. So with the DOE, Department of Education, by dismantling that, many of many areas across the country, you will have church schools that children will go to, and they will be funded by segregated churches. They're not going to be going, the kids are not going to be going to school with black kids. We'll be going back to 1954 and prior to. There are schools in Brooklyn, or there was a school in Brooklyn when I was chair of a Head Start program in Bed-Stuy, McDonough Street. The school across the street, and our kids came out of Head Start reading on the 1st grade level. They didn't have to go to kindergarten. The principal had a fundraiser, a cake sale, to buy books. I said, wait a minute, buy books?
What year was this?
It's about 8, 10 years ago.
Oh, okay.
I said, how is it that you don't have funding from the city to buy books? Why are you trying to raise money to buy books? That money is supposed to be there provided by the city. And I'm not seeing bake sales going on in Bay Ridge and Bensonhurst for textbooks, because they have the textbooks. So even here in New York City, we don't have equal education. So now with Project 2025, it's going to be more difficult, and our parents are going to have to get down to serious parenting, sitting down with their children, reading to them, teaching them how to write in script, all this texting and everything. I've talked to kids that don't know how to write in script. I spoke with a young lady last week. She's graduating high school.
You got Ron in the waiting room.
Okay. And real quick, I said, what language did you have? She said, well, I had 2 years of French. I said, are you going to college? She said, yes. I said, you have to have at least 3 years because they're going to require you to take a 4th year in college. She said, I didn't know that. I said, well, unless things have changed drastically from when I was in college, you can't get in college with 2 years of a language. I said, talk to your guidance counselor and make sure that your application will even be accepted. So our folks are going to have to get on the beam.
Let's bring Ron. Ron, you on? Hey, there he is.
He's turning around.
Hey, brother. How are you? I know you're busy.
We can't hear you.
We can't hear you. Unmute.
Get the little
Can
microphone
you hear
on
us?
the bottom.
We're waiting for Ron to come on to tell us what's happening with the, what were we talking about? Trump, and I wanted Ron to talk about DEI and what's happening in the convention to combat all these, well, Social Security is the most powerful. That's, they hand out $3.7 trillion a year.
3.7 trillion?
$3.7 trillion go out to Social Security. Now, what they're doing with Social Security, they're firing the people who work for Social Security.
Right.
So if you have a problem getting your check, and they've put the young kids in there to sabotage the computers so you don't get your check on time.
I got mine this week. It came in.
That's this month.
Thank God. That's this month.
I'm looking for mine today. I should go on my computer see if I got my
See if
check.
you got it in there.
But can you imagine surviving? I've got a son in the Caribbean, depending on his Social Security check to keep him alive out there. That's all he's living off. So if he doesn't get his check, he's going to have to come home or something. I mean, these are one painful story. Can you imagine surviving off of nothing but Social Security?
Survivor's benefits.
Having worked all your life to achieve, this is not this is not a giver. You're getting back what you put in.
We paid into that. That was the tax.
So they're stealing from people who work hard their entire life till 62, 65, most people.
My father died. We lived. My mother worked, but we also lived off the Social Security Survivor Benefit Program as children. My father was 29 when he died. I was 4. So he had worked. He had been in the Army, and Social Security sent my mother a check every month.
A third of these people they're firing are vets.
And that's another thing. You have people with disabilities. What happens to them? What happened? There are people that cannot make it. They need to call Social Security for help. Who's answering the phones? How many hours do you hang? People don't have the mobility to get from one place to another. All of these things are impacting people. And the attitude is they want to privatize it. They want to make it an investment program for themselves.
And they send you to the computer, and they said in the last 10 days, the website broke down 4 times in 10 days. So you imagine being an elder person trying to get to the computer?
They have monetization programs which people don't know about. They could take, let's say Social Security has a worth of $1 trillion. They can leverage $1 trillion in the market and make double-digit interest on that money every week. But the people are not getting the benefit of that. Where would that money be going? And into whose pockets would it be going?
Elon Musk
it would
and
be
the rest of the billionaires.
Precisely. Those are called monetizations or trade programs that the everyday people will never hear about.
Think about the distribution of $3.7 trillion. That's what they're looking at. Taking just a third of that. You take out $1 trillion out of Social Security and steal it. And then you got to go through a year of courts. Only thing we got left is the courts.
And Are,
we
the,
gotta,
are the thieves going to tell you what happened to the money
of course not.
or where it is?
Look at what the Defense Department did. It's a joke. It's so frustrating to see the country fall apart the way it's falling apart through Trump and his vindictive ways. He's king. He's got delusional, he's the godfather. He can rule the realm. Look at him. Look at what his mind is like.
Well,
he's
David asked the
invincible.
question, how
I
long?
would think any of us, that if we got away with the mess he's gotten away with, can you imagine how good he feels?
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
feels
this
good.
demon is a true, and God saved him to be a demon?
God has given him grace. David asked, how long will the wicked prosper? God responded, he said, not long. Not long.
It's too long already.
Yeah, we think it's a long time, but
He's been in office, what, 2 months?
2
a little
months.
over 2 months, and look at the mess he's called it.
it's a short span of
2
time.
months.
2 months. But we,
Imagine what 6 months is going to be like.
I can't imagine, but we'll find out.
Oh, yeah. But we got to stick with the program of National Action Network and learn to fight the battle properly. And that's with God in your heart and Reverend Sharpton as our leader. Now, I was hoping we'd get McHenry on, but there seems to be malfunctioning every day, today in particular. So I'm going to run one more video of, we only have, it's 53 minutes. We only have 6
4
minutes.
minutes.
But run a 4B, and we'll be right back at you. We weren't able to get Ron on, but we'll finish it up with this.
And then on Friday, our Ministers' Day, we have our Ministers' Luncheon and our Ministers' Panel, Reverend Dr. Michael A. Warron, Ralph West. We got, I mean, the list goes on and on. We got a lot of people coming, and we want you all to be there. And then, of course, on Saturday, we will have our Youth Day. We confirmed just today Lala Anthony. Many of y'all know Lala. Lala will be getting an award on Youth Day to open up our Youth Day. We have our Measure the Movement Forum that's happening where all the civil rights leaders from across the country, from NAACP to National Urban League to the National Coalition of Black Civic Participation, Melanie Campbell and others will be joining Rev to lay out the action agenda of civil rights and what we're doing with civil rights for the year. That's happening Saturday morning. Reverend Sharpton will do his President's Address this year live from the Sheridan at 10 o'clock, live on WBLS. Where he's going to be laying out the action plan for DEI and what we're going to do in terms of this next coming year, how we're going to fight. And a lot of people have been involved in our boycotts. And so he will be laying that plan out at the President's Address on Saturday. Then we have our Youth Day. We're doing artivism, a panel on artivism, a panel on the state of Black males. We're doing Victor Pate's Second Chance panel on Saturday. So it's a lot going on, y'all. And guess what? Entrepreneurship pitch. So there's actually going to be some prizes given out with celebrity judges for our young people to pitch their businesses, their business ideas. That's an opportunity for them. That's also happening on Saturday. And then, of course, we end with our extravagant fashion show. I was here yesterday for one of the rehearsals, and I can tell you that these kids and adults are bringing it in true artivism form this year. So you don't want to miss the fashion show that closes out the convention. You don't want to miss anything, really. I think all 4 days are filled with amazing activities and forums and things that's happening. We have our resource room that's open all 4 days this year, as opposed to just 2 or 3. So we're really excited about what's happening at the convention. Want to make sure you're all registered. Those of you online that still haven't registered, you have time, but please do it ASAP so that we can make sure that we have a seat for you in the room. We don't want people standing outside or not being able to get in. So make sure you register so we can get a count for how many people we're expecting to have at the convention. We know over 4,000 people have already registered. So make sure, make sure that you're not one of those walk-ups Make sure that you're pre-registered as well. We want to make sure you register, and you can go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and register, or you can call us at 877-626-4651. Thank you so much. Now, y'all can do better than that. Dominique did that all from memory. She didn't even read that from a paper. That's how much she was doing that schedule and working this out, because she did that all from her brain. Let's clap that up. All right. All right.
Well, another amazing presentation. This has been interesting. We've had a lot of technical, but see, we adjust to anything. We've been doing this so long. You should have seen when he's doing live TV. It's really fun.
That was good.
That was fun. And we did that for 20 years.
I missed the call-ins too. People would call in. And
yeah, but this is the Gilchrist experience, but we're here for you every week, and we try to give you a little guidance in what the horrors are in America today. Being black and being human, really, because the devil's busy. And the devil is labeled Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Putin, Netanyahu. These devils are all over the place. They're trying to control humanity. And they're not righteous, and we have a God-centeredness in us all. But like I always say, the God in me loves the God in you. And people say that some people don't have no God. How can you? Well, those are the people that you have to fight with, that God-centeredness. Because, you know, everybody's got a devil in them, but you don't let your devil loose, except you're defending yourself. I mean, hey, that's my take. And I've lived long enough to see
some devils.
I've seen a lot of devils. And Hitler was one, and the whole world ganged up on him. Now we have to gang up on our American Hitler. Putin and Musk and Trump. And they're all guided by Putin. You have to understand this. Netanyahu, all these genocide people. Now it's up to you that have a strength of love in your heart. God is love. It's that simple. God is love and the devil is hate. Now you get that in your mindset and you can live a little longer. You know,
a lot longer.
A lot longer. Because hate does nothing but destroy your system. So be careful. Don't hate. All right? God be with you. Power to the people.
In December 1964, Malcolm debated at the Oxford Union in England.
I read once, passingly, about a man named Shakespeare. I only read about him passingly, but I remember one thing he wrote that kind of moved me. He put it in the mouth of Hamlet, I think it was, who said, "To be or not to be." He was in doubt about something. Whether it was nobler in the mind of man to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, moderation, or to take up arms against the sea of troubles and by opposing, end them. And I go for that. If you take up arms, you'll end it. But if you sit around and wait for the one who's in power to make up his mind that he should end it, you'll be waiting a long time. And in my opinion, the young generation of whites, blacks, browns, whatever else there is, you're living at a time of extremism, a time of revolution, a time when there's got to be a change. People in power have misused it, and now there has to be a change, and a better world has to be built, and the only way it's going to be built is with extreme methods. And I, for one, will join in with anyone, don't care what color you are, as long as you want to change this miserable condition that exists on this earth. Thank you.